to scare the classmates who were bullying me. I said that the hooligans from the vocational high school next door were all under my command. They didn't believe me, so I had to brace myself and call out to one of the guys with yellow hair. "Hey, don't you greet the boss?" The guy with yellow hair looked at me. 5 seconds later, he said leisurely, "Hello, boss. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day." Now the story begins. This guy with yellow hair was really handsome, but he looked very fierce. He held a cigarette butt and said to me, "Did the boss bring a new lackey?" He beckoned the other hooligans over. The teenagers with colorful hair and various tattoos on their arms surrounded us. They were more than half a head taller than us girls. I was so scared that I didn't dare to make a sound. The guy with yellow hair smiled and looked at them. "Hey, why don't you greet the boss?" The teenagers with colorful hair were stunned. One of them reacted quickly and immediately shouted, "Hello, boss." The guy with yellow hair picked up my arm full of scars and asked in confusion, "Did you lose a fight with someone? Was it them?" He looked at Anna and the others, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Anna and Mary burst into tears and ran away. I turned around and tried to slip away, but someone grabbed my arm. "Where are you going?" "Bosses." I didn't dare to look at the guy with yellow hair and said, bowing my head, "Sorry. I just wanted to scare them." He gently pushed my forehead. "Leave a contact. Remember, you owe me a favor." I took out a piece of paper and casually wrote a number for him. The guy with yellow hair took out his phone and dialed. "Sorry. The number you dialed is not in service." I quickly apologized. "Sorry. I remembered it wrong. This is my mom's number." "Are you kidding me? Your mom's number is not in service." I didn't reply to him. Instead, I wrote my real number for him. As soon as he called, I would block him. The guy with yellow hair smiled, bent down, and looked at me. "If you dare to block me, I'll come to find you at the gate of No. 1 Middle School." I was trembling with fear all night. I had provoked the delinquent teenagers. Would I end up in a really bad situation? Would they ask me for protection money? Force me to steal money? Or make me smoke? I only had 20 yuan of pocket money a day, and at most, I could give them 10 yuan. At worst, I would just have buns for lunch and dinner. I would never steal money or smoke. The next day at school, my desk was clean. There were no used sanitary napkins pasted on it, and no cigarette butts that had been put out. Anna and Mary glanced at me and quickly looked away. Anna and Mary were no longer the ones to be trifled with. The hooligans from the vocational high school were even more formidable. I really had the audacity to provoke them. At noon, I didn't dare to leave the school gate. I bought a bun in the cafeteria. Fortunately, I didn't have a big appetite, and one bun was enough to fill me up. When I was walking and eating half of the bun, someone grabbed my hair. There were 3 boys who grabbed my hair. One of them was Brady from our class. He was the one who put out cigarette butts on my desk every day. Brady said, "Anna and those 2 idiots actually believed that you know Andrew. You've got some nerve. Ha! It seems like you really have someone to back you up." The other 2 boys impatiently urged, "Can you hurry up? The school gate is about to close." The 3 of them dragged me to the internet cafe outside the school. Brady knocked on the front desk. "Open 3 computers. This girl is treating." The boy behind the front desk looked up. It was the guy with yellow hair from yesterday. Brady immediately stopped being arrogant and said obsequiously, "Andrew." So he was Andrew. The 2 boys sandwiched me between them and also greeted Andrew with a smile. Andrew looked at me with a complicated expression. Brady patted my face and said with a smile, "Hey, this girl lied to my classmates yesterday. saying that you know her. Andrew. Andrew said without hesitation. Yes. Brady was stunned and forced a smile. What? Are you sure? Andrew. Andrew stood in front of me and put a hat on my head. Wait outside. I waited for about half an hour. There were harsh noises coming from the internet cafe, but I ignored them. There was a devil in my heart cheering. Let them fight. It would be great if they all got beaten up. When Andrew came out, he had no expression on his face. He reached out and touched my face. Ouch. I had been slapped by Brady and it was swollen. Andrew said in a deep voice. Looking unhappy. I called you, but you didn't answer at all. In our school, we're not allowed to bring mobile phones. Andrew was taken aback. As if he remembered something. He said, there's a guy named Corin in class 668. If anyone bullies you again, go to him. I thought of something and took out 10 yuan from my bag. This is all I have. Take it. Andrew laughed angrily. Are you treating me like a dog? But I couldn't give any more. Forget it. The students in your know. One middle school all have good grades. Right. Write my homework as a reward. That was easy. I nodded. Andrew took out 100 yuan from his bag and gave it to me. Go to the pharmacy and remember to give me the change. I don't. I saw his serious expression and didn't dare to refuse. Take it and leave. It's going to get lively here soon. The next day, I finally understood what he meant by it would get lively. The homeroom teacher, Byron, used the self-study class to hold a serious class meeting. There are always some people who go to the internet cafe. As a result, they were targeted by those delinquent teenagers. Just yesterday, a classmate broke a bone and was sent to the hospital. Let's see who dares to go out privately again. I'll call your parents. If I can't manage you, you don't need to come to school anymore. Brady's seat was empty. Anna kept looking at me deeply. Byron babbled on for a whole class. After class, Anna came to me looking flustered. She handed me a piece of paper. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I don't want to end up like Brady. Please. Tears were welling up in her eyes. I tore the piece of paper to shreds and told her, I begged you like this before. A month passed peacefully. There were more than half an hour left before the evening self-study. Suddenly, a voice came from the door. Elva, someone is looking for you. I shuffled out and found a tall and thin boy holding a book waiting for me. You're looking for me. The boy gave me the book and also gave me a bottle of drink. This is Andrew's homework. He'll come to pick it up at the end of the month. So he was Corin. The drink sat on my desk for a whole night and finally ended up in the trash can. I couldn't eat things given by strangers casually. Andrew's homework was filled out completely, and there was no place for me to write. So I used a red pen to check the answers for him. This delinquent didn't even use his head when copying the answers. All the answers were correct. I went home. I found that there were a few more wrinkles on my father's weathered face. He quickly pulled down his pant legs, as if trying to cover something up. I tugged at him. Dad. I saw it. It's okay. It's just a little burn on the skin. It's nothing. The burn was as big as a bowl. I threw my school bag and burst into tears. I don't want to study anymore. I won't study even if you beat me. My father slapped me hard. If you don't study, you'll end up like your mother. He suddenly stopped and slapped himself in the face. He went to the kitchen on his own and mumbled, girls can only be promising if they study. Studying makes you promising. My father was a bricklayer, doing the hardest work, but his salary was pitifully low. I wiped my tears and walked to the kitchen, pushing him aside. Go out. Your cooking is not as good as mine. When I finished cooking and came out, my father slapped a stack of money on the table. He smiled and said, This is the compensation for the work injury. These days, there are not many foremen with a conscience. The food I cook is not good. I'll increase your pocket money. 30 yuan a day. Is that enough? I suddenly felt lucky that I didn't give Andrew the 10 yuan. No need. I can't even spend the 20 yuan a day. My father had an I knew it expression and took out a hairpin from his pocket. I saw other little girls wearing this. So I bought one for you. Do you like it? I looked into his bright eyes and smiled. It's nice. I like it. As long as you like it, Dad won't hit you anymore. I don't know how long it was before Corin came to find me again. Andrew said he's waiting for you at the school gate. Also, if you don't go, he'll come to find you every day. I braced myself and went. Andrew stood out in the crowd. He was handsome and a bit ruffian. He walked towards me and asked, "Have you eaten?" Yes. Actually, I hadn't. Then accompany me to eat something. I didn't understand what he was up to. It would be normal for him to beat me for pretending to be powerful. What was he doing now? Andrew asked on his own. Where are there a lot of people and the food is delicious? I've never eaten at the gate of No. 1 middle school. I glanced at his yellow hair. I thought of a reason to refuse him. The quiz is about to start. I have to go back. Andrew looked at me with an I don't believe you expression. Do you dislike my hair? I quickly shook my head. You think too much. Your hair is very handsome. Andrew pursed his lips and then stuffed a stack of money into my hand. Brady and the others robbed you. The police recovered the money for you. Before leaving, he mocked me. You're so stupid. You can't even find a good reason to lie. Andrew was really handsome, so he was always on the confession wall of the vocational high school and No. 1 middle school. One day, the girls in the class whispered, Andrew dyed his hair back to black. He's so alluring. He has a good boy kind of feeling. Why did he dye his hair back to black? Maybe it's for a certain girl. It's so romantic. One of the girls kept looking at me from time to time. The person next to her pushed her. She lowered her head and walked up to me. Elva, are you Andrew's girlfriend? I shook my head. She suddenly became excited and handed me a letter. I knew it. How could he like someone like you? I didn't mean that. What I mean is, his ex-girlfriends are not your type. Can you give this letter to him? Adhering to the principle that it's better to have less trouble. I wanted to refuse. I'll give you 50 yuan for running this errand. Okay. I gave the love letter to Corin. I told him to make sure to give it to Andrew. Corin had an I knew it expression and clicked his tongue in admiration. I said Andrew has finally fallen in love. It turns out that both parties have feelings. Andrew throws love letters into the trash. But I don't think he'll throw this one away. Whatever he said. As long as the letter got to Andrew. Corin was very efficient. Andrew appeared outside the classroom during the evening self-study. He hooked his finger at me, while everyone was still studying hard. I quickly walked out. I grabbed Andrew and took him to a deserted corner. How did you get in? He said indifferently. I just wore a school uniform. It's Corin's. He took out the love letter and said, Give it back to her. I don't like her. If I returned it, wouldn't that girl ask for the 50 yuan back? I pretended to take it and thought about how to deal with this hot potato. Andrew's hair was as black as ink, and his eyes were shining. Have you made new friends? I suddenly understood. Since Brady got hurt, the relationship between Andrew and me had spread. I used to live in fear every day, but now some people were being nice to me, and Andrew specially returned the money for me. I couldn't help asking him, Why are you helping me? Andrew was silent for a long time and sneered. It can't be that I like you, can it? You're quite interesting. The girls in your No. 1 middle school are all interesting. Anyway, thank you for helping me. Let me treat you to a meal. How about tomorrow noon? Andrew suddenly leaned in towards me, and I stepped back. I had nowhere to retreat. His breath fell on my face, and his eyes were shining like jewels. What if I like you? Will you have a puppy, love? The good student from No. 1 middle school. I pushed him away. No, I won't. Andrew grabbed my wrist, and his tone turned cold. Yes, you will. As he spoke, he planted a wet kiss on my forehead. The girl who wrote the love letter to Andrew came to me. She grabbed my hair without saying a word. I saw it. You lied to me. You and Andrew are clearly a couple. Why you? I was dragged to the ground and desperately pulled back my hair. You've misunderstood. I'm really not. During the scuffle, the table was knocked over and pressed straight towards me. The nurse applied the medicine to me, and the pain made me cry out. She asked me impatiently, "Where are your parents? Why aren't they taking care of you?" I pursed my lips. I didn't dare to call my dad. Her family member is here. Andrew knocked on the door and walked in on his own. The nurse sized him up and said, "Avoid spicy food for this week. Don't let the wound touch water. It's normal for the stitched area to itch. Don't scratch it." There was a scar like a centipede across my eyebrow. It almost hurt my eye. Andrew's face darkened in an instant. On the way back, Andrew rode a bicycle and gave me a ride. Suddenly, he made an emergency stop, and I slammed into his back. Aren't there some bad kids in your No. 1 middle school? Why are you so well behaved? His tone was a bit cold. I said in a low voice, "I'm not convinced either, but I'm scared when I meet someone fiercer than me." Andrew turned his head and glared at me. When I had yellow hair, smoked, and had tattoos. Why weren't you scared? You called yourself the boss, but you're more like a coward. I couldn't help laughing. What's the girl's name? Lily, right? I was taken aback. Did you read the love letter? No. Humph. Liar. Lily transferred to another school. Her father was exposed for embezzling public funds and was sent to prison. From Brady to Lily. No one in the class dares to bully me anymore. I'm sitting in the classroom, but my mind is wandering. I touch my forehead from time to time. The tips of my ears are burning hot. Several days have passed, but why can't I forget that night? Just then, Byron came in and shouted at the top of her voice, "Elva, come out quickly." For the rest of my life, every time I think of this sentence, I feel that it has divided my whole life. I dashed out of the school gate. I couldn't get a taxi, and I missed the nearest bus. I was burning with anxiety. Suddenly, a bicycle stopped in front of me, and Andrew waved at me, "Get on," without saying a word. I got on. The hospital. Hurry up. Thank you. Andrew pedaled like crazy all the way. Sweat dripped from the ends of his hair, and his broad back was soaked with sweat. He comforted me. "Is your family member in the hospital?" "Don't worry. 2 wheels are not as fast as 4 wheels. But my phone is out of power. We can only pedal there. I'll try to be as fast as possible." My nose twitched. "Okay. Thank you, Andrew." My father fell from a high place while at work. His life was hanging in the balance. One critical condition notice after another was handed to me. I sobbed uncontrollably as I signed them. The doctor told me that the success rate of the operation was only 40%. There was even a possibility that he would become a vegetable. The nurse reminded me, "Little girl, where are the adults in your family? Go and settle the operation fee." I asked timidly, "How much is it approximately?" "Prepare 400,000 yuan for the operation fee first. The cost of the follow-up treatment is also not low." I lost all my strength. Who can give me 400,000 yuan? My mother. She wouldn't care about the life and death of my father and me. Relatives. Everyone's life is tight. And even if we try to raise the money, we can't gather 400,000 yuan. I curled up on the chair, wondering if I should sell my blood. Andrew handed me a card. 1 million yuan. Take it for the emergency. I stared blankly at Andrew. He explained, it's not ill-gotten money. It's from my father. Seeing that I didn't take it, he was a bit anxious. This is a matter of life and death. Is your pride more important than a life? I never thought that one day Andrew would save my father's life. The operation lasted for 8 hours. Andrew stayed by my side for 8 hours without leaving. The moment the doctor wheeled my father out, I covered my eyes. Andrew took my hand away. It's not a white cloth. The doctor took off his mask. Congratulations. The operation was extremely successful. The patient will be transferred to the ICU. If there are no problems during observation, he can be transferred to a general ward. I cried tears of joy and threw myself beside my father's bed. His skin, which had been anesthetized, was blue-purple and looked terrifying. But it's great. Really great. You're my only family member. If you're gone, I'll have nothing left. When I asked Byron for leave, she tried to persuade me. I know about your father's situation, but you're about to take the college entrance examination. Your time is very precious. If you have the ability to hire a nurse, I don't recommend delaying your review time. With your ability, you can at least get into a 985 university. If this delays your future, it's not worth it. Have you thought it through? I've made up my mind. The college entrance examination can be taken again. Byron sighed secretly. When I left the school gate, I heard the ring of a bicycle bell. I looked in the direction of the sound. Andrew was straddling a bicycle, 1 foot on the ground, and his eyes looking at me were excited and clear. I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'm afraid one of his informants told him. He put down the bicycle and walked up to me. You're in a daze again. Get on, boss. Andrew dragged out the last word. It's as long as my suffering. I couldn't hold it in and burst into tears. Andrew, why am I so unlucky? Why is it always me who has bad luck? He bent down and patted my back, saying gently, you're not unlucky. Our boss is the lucky one. I looked at my father in the ICU, and Andrew looked at me. He couldn't help but say, find a nurse to take care of him. You still have the college entrance examination. A person's energy is limited. I shook my head. Do you want me to spend all that 1 million yuan? As I spoke, I took the bank card out of my bag and gave it to him. I only spent 400,000 yuan. I'm returning the rest to you. Andrew laughed as if he had heard a joke. Each of my ex-girlfriends spent more than that on a shopping trip. Are you making fun of me? I'm not your girlfriend, and you have no obligation to spend money on me. Consider this as a loan from you. I will definitely pay you back when I have the money. Andrew looked at me strangely, as if he was looking at someone else through me. There are some things you can't pay back. He contacted a professor from University A for me and told me to prepare for the National Mathematical Olympiad. If I got a ranking, I could be admitted directly. At that time, I thought that was what he meant by things I couldn't pay back. Andrew gave the professor's number to me. Whether you can get a ranking in the national competition depends on you. You're in a special situation now, and this is the only way to achieve our goal indirectly. I couldn't help asking him, who exactly are you? With money and connections. He doesn't seem like an ordinary person. Andrew joked. I'm your lackey, boss. Andrew always stayed around me. He even prepared my lunch and dinner every day. It's made by the aunt at home. There's too much to eat. and it would be a waste to throw it away. The food was home-cooked, but the lunchbox was a luxury brand. I took it, feeling it burning in my hand. Andrew, your family is very rich, right? Andrew didn't confirm or deny it. I'll work for you in the future. Can I earn money quickly and pay you back? When he heard this, he froze, and his smile froze on his face. Why do you always think you owe others? There are people who are much more shameless than you. I didn't know who he was talking about, but I felt a pang of anxiety. Andrew turned his head and said, dissatisfied, I can be nice to whoever I want. We guys from the vocational high school value loyalty. Don't you know that? I was amused, and half of my sadness disappeared. Andrew, thank you. After 2 months of preparation, the moment I won the gold medal in the national competition, I was overjoyed. Dad, I won the gold medal. Dad. My father was lying in bed and tried his best to give me a thumbs up. Tears of relief slid down from the corners of his eyes. Andrew didn't come to the hospital. I took a bus to the vocational high school to find him. Behind the bus stop was an ATM. There was only a way out on the left and right. I got off the bus and heard a familiar voice coming from the ATM. Do you really like Elva? You didn't like this type before. I just think it's interesting. Maggie seduced my father, and it caused my mother to have a cerebral infarction. She's such a despicable person, and her daughter was bullied at school. Hey, haven't you heard of the suspension bridge effect? I just want to see if she will fall in love with me. I'm going to take her home and tell Maggie that she's my girlfriend. I covered my mouth, and my heart almost stopped beating. Everything suddenly made sense. Why didn't Andrew expose me in front of Anna? Why did he always look at someone else through me? Why did he say that there were people much more shameless than me? Because he wanted to take revenge on Maggie. My mother. Andrew and Corin came out, and their figures froze. Elva, how long have you been here? I pinched the palm of my hand and choked out. Maggie broke up your family. She was wrong. It's understandable that you want to take revenge on me. Anyway, thank you for saving my father. I will pay back the money as soon as possible. Let's not see each other again. Andrew's chest heaved, and his tone was urgent. What do you mean? Do you want to break with me? I shook my head. My mother owes you, and I owe you too. I can't pay back what she owes, but I must pay back what I owe you. It's not about breaking up. It's about drawing a clear line. Now you're my creditor. Andrew was completely anxious. He grabbed my chin and asked me, what can you use to pay me back? I've spent money and time on you. If I can't use you to take revenge on Maggie, what can you use to pay me back? But what's my fault? Andrew, what's my fault? Andrew stood there, stunned. I got rid of him completely and fled from that sad place. I wiped my tears clean outside the ward before going in. My father immediately noticed something was wrong. What's wrong with you? Who bullied you? I burst into tears. I can't go to university, Dad. I can't, he said anxiously. Why? Is it because of me? Don't worry about me. You should think about yourself. Dad, do you know Andrew? He fell silent for a moment. It turned out that I was the only one who didn't know. Tears were draining my body, and I could hardly catch my breath. What lucky one. What Andrew? Let all of this turn into nothingness. 6 years later, I was rushing to finish the drawings at my workstation. Mona slipped over and whispered to me, Elva, do you know who our client is this time? It's the famous Miles family. I heard that their young master has just returned from studying abroad and is going to take over the company. I thought hard and finally replied mechanically, I see. I remember you graduated from No. 1 middle school. I heard that the young master of the Miles family studied at the vocational high school next door. Maybe you know him. My pen shook violently, and the ink line smeared. Mona quickly apologized. Sorry, honey. I shouldn't have disturbed you while you were drawing. I waved my hand. It doesn't matter. It's just a draft. I wish life could be like drawing, able to start over. Mona continued. By the way, Flora said that the people from the Miles family will come to see the drawings tomorrow. You should prepare to receive them. I couldn't help asking, Mona, can you take my place tomorrow? When I got back to the apartment, the aunt had already cooked the meal. My father also cooked. He had sequelae from his injury and couldn't walk properly. The aunt quickly explained. He said he wanted to show off his cooking skills. I couldn't stop him. My father snorted. What? Do you think I'm useless? Can't I cook for my daughter? I smiled. Yes. My dad is the strongest. Over the years, he has always felt that he owes me. I didn't get into University A and ended up going to an ordinary university. I graduated a year early from university and entered an architectural company. My monthly salary was quite decent. I could also pay back Andrew bit by bit. In fact, everything was getting better. My father looked at me, hesitating to say something. Maggie had a miscarriage and was diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay. She didn't harass you, did she? She called me. I ate the meat in big mouthfuls, and my cheeks hurt from chewing. Dad, do you know that when I was in high school, I only ate 2 steamed buns a day. I also bought some dried radishes from the store. Sometimes, if I was feeling extravagant, I would eat some dried meat. When I was robbed of my money and bullied by my classmates. And then you had an accident and were hospitalized. I gave up my studies to take care of you. Maggie never showed up. I actually hate her a lot. The dinner was very quiet. Before going to bed, I asked Flora for a day off. Flora was understanding and readily agreed. I fell asleep heavily at night. I had a dream that I was sitting on the back of a bicycle. The young man had black hair. His back was slightly arched, and he smiled and asked me, Are you falling asleep again, boss? I opened my eyes and saw that the light on the ceiling hadn't been turned off all night. There were countless missed calls on my phone. I called back. Flora, did you want something from me? Sorry, Elva. The client insists on seeing you. He's been waiting here for 3 hours. Is it Andrew? Andrew. No, it's not. Anyway, can you come? I'm really sorry. I rushed to the company. I met someone familiar. Corin reached out his hand to me. Hello. Long time no see. It felt like all the blood in my body reversed in an instant. I stiffly shook his hand. Hello. Our conversation was all about the cooperation. Except for that. Long time no see. Before leaving, Corin suddenly turned back and told me, Andrew has returned to the country. I smiled, but my heart skipped a beat. The car was driving steadily on the road, and it suddenly started to rain. I couldn't see clearly in the rearview mirror, so I rolled down the window and wiped it with a piece of paper. My back shook, and I leaned forward suddenly. There was a rear-end collision. How was the person behind driving? The moment I got out of the car, my pupils shrank sharply. The man was wearing a suit, and his hair was a bit messy from the rain. He walked over with big strides and looked straight at me. Long time no see. It would be better if we didn't meet. Andrew, I said calmly. It's your fault for the rear-end collision. Let's wait for the insurance company. Andrew smiled and said, Okay, let's wait together. We stood in the rain without moving, until the people from the insurance company arrived. After settling everything, I got into the car and was about to leave. Andrew held onto my car door and said, "Give me a ride. My car won't start." I refused him. "Take a taxi. I don't have any cash. And my phone is out of power." I sighed and looked at him. "Who are you going to take revenge on using me this time?" He paused when he heard this, and there was a look of guilt on his face. I stepped on the gas and left. But the moment I took the elevator back, I ran into Andrew again. "What are you following me for?" Andrew said innocently, "I live here. Does the young master of the Miles family really fancy this ordinary apartment? He must be kidding." Andrew followed me and stopped opposite my house. I crossed my arms and looked at him, not believing that he really lived there. Beep beep. He unlocked the door with his fingerprint. Andrew looked at me with a mischievous smile. "Do you want to come in and have a seat?" No way. I went home. My father hinted at me several times, telling me to go and see Maggie. When people get old, they always become soft-hearted, and I'm no exception. Maggie was in an ordinary ward, and almost all her hair had fallen out. She glanced at me. "What are you doing here?" I sat down beside her. "Who do you want to come? The man you seduced, or the son of that man?" There was a slap. Maggie used all her strength to slap my face aside. She was panting heavily, with bloodshot eyes. "You unfilial child. I'm your mother. Look at what your father has taught you." I licked my lips, and there was the taste of blood. "You remembered my dad when you were short of money because he's honest and easy to deceive. You didn't look for me because you know you're sorry for me. Andrew must have told you about the things between me and him." Andrew wouldn't miss this opportunity to mock Maggie. When Maggie heard Andrew's name, she almost went hysterical. "Don't mention him to me. He's the one who caused me to have a miscarriage. My glory and wealth. My whole life. He's ruined it all." The nurse rushed in and gave Maggie a sedative. The family members should pay attention to the patient's emotions. The patient has a serious tendency of mental illness. Has Maggie become mentally ill? How could she become like this? Ha ha ha. I walked out of the room and bumped into Andrew. "You've seen her."
A woman in a hospital gown in the parking lot. "Mom. Maggie." I called out tentatively. Maggie turned around. Her eyes glazed over, but she was holding a broken wine bottle in her hand. I walked up slowly. "Mom, it's me. Come back with me." Maggie mumbled. "Daughter. My daughter. I don't want a daughter. I want a son." I walked up to her and carefully took the bottle away. I coaxed her. "Okay. We'll have a son. Have a son." She suddenly screamed. "It's all your fault, Andrew. I'm going to kill you." The sharp bottle stabbed towards me. A figure stood in front of me. The wine bottle stabbed into his stomach. He grabbed Maggie's flailing hand and turned around to shout at me. "Call the police." 6 years ago, Andrew and I were waiting outside the operating room for my dad. 6 years later, I was waiting outside the operating room for Andrew. Why is my life full of hardships? Maggie has a mental illness, and she won't go to jail for attempted murder. She's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. The light in the operating room went out. The doctor came out. The operation was successful. The wine bottle pierced the spleen, and all the fragments have been taken out. I let out a sigh of relief. Andrew helped me again, and I hurt him again. I accompanied Andrew and transferred him to an ordinary ward. No one from the Miles family came. Only Corin came. Corin confirmed that Andrew wasn't dead and joked. "Rescuing the beauty. It's just like back then." As expected, Corin was going to play the emotional card for him. "Do you know that this guy?" "I know. He wanted to fall in love with me to take revenge on my mom." Corin was speechless. After a long time, he spoke again. "Give him a chance to explain. I feel wronged for him if you don't let him speak." I sighed. "Then make it short." Corin stood up and lifted Andrew's clothes by the bedside. Besides the new wound, there was a glaring scar. Corin covered Andrew with his clothes and continued. He got this scar when he fought with Brady. You think he's really that capable in a fight? Others just dare not touch him because they're afraid of his family background. He fought with Brady desperately that day, and he almost lost his life. It was me who gave you the homework and the drink. Do you think he would ruin himself just to take revenge on Maggie? Corin said. Andrew's father is a jerk. He doesn't care about anything except finding women. Do you know why he went to the vocational high school? Maggie secretly changed his volunteer. My heart shook. You said he hates Maggie so much, but he almost lost his life because of you. Maybe at first, he wanted to hurt you, but later, things changed. When he came to his senses, he had already lost you. I took out a piece of paper and wrote a number for him, but I couldn't help it, and tears welled up in my eyes. I don't know if you'll forgive him, but please, at least don't hate him. The sunlight shone on Andrew's face, gilding his silhouette. It was as if I had gone back to when I was 18, and he called me boss with a smile. How long are you going to peek at me? He opened his lips and looked at me with a half smile. Does it hurt? I asked him. What pain? It's not manly to be so fussy. I chuckled. The doctor said you would definitely be in pain and gave me the painkillers. It seems you don't want them. Andrew was a bit mesmerized and shook his head. It doesn't hurt. I don't want them. He pursed his lips and stammered for a while. I really didn't play with you. I swear. You gave the guy with yellow hair a chance. Can you give me a chance to protect you now? He looked at me sincerely. I suddenly remembered the scene when I first met him when I was 18, among a group of hooligans. He was the tallest and the most handsome. The first time I was beaten, I fled to the public toilet. He chased the others away with his yellow hair and smiled at me. Even a top student gets chased and beaten. Give me some protection money, and I'll protect you. The memory overlapped with reality. I slowly reached out my hand to him. Okay. The end.